In the latest edition of How the Michigan Wolverines World Turns, Jim Harbaugh has said he will not be honorary captain August 31st for Michigan's home opener against Fresno State. As a matter of fact, it was Sherrone Moore that delivered that news, as he also said he is awaiting the NCAA's release of whatever it is that they're going to release. I thought it was also interesting that the way that they phrased this was Harbaugh has decided to, quote, stay in the foxhole, unquote, with the Chargers instead of, quote, taking a deep, long bow. I'm curious what you think of this, because the questions that are abounding about Michigan have everything to do with not the 2024 football season, at least in response to what bans or postseason bans or any ban whatsoever that they may or may not receive. I have already put out a top 134 ranking, top 25 ranking as well, that has Michigan in the top 10, but at number 8 behind LSU and ahead of Alabama. I think that there's room for them to move up with a win against Texas, but I've already picked Texas to beat Michigan in Ann Arbor. I know that Michigan has not lost a home game since 2020, 22-game winning streak. I also know that they are the 3-time defending Big Ten champion and the defending national champion. But it's become one of these things where I want to talk about the messaging that is or isn't happening at Michigan, because they got their way of doing things. But there's a level of decorum here that we haven't been speaking about either. There's a way in which we want you to purport yourself if we think that you have been wrong. And if you don't think you are wrong, we also want you to be authentic about that. And up until now, everything that Michigan has done has been, oh, we're not apologizing for nothing ever at all. Like we won a national championship. We can have this ad nauseum conversation about the sign stealing, because I can't convince you that they didn't know anybody's signs after we found out that they were sign stealing, because I think that other programs are smart and change their signs. But also, if your Jimmies are better than their Joes, it don't friggin' matter. I remember Dan Lanning having a conversation about this when he was defensive coordinator at Georgia. And remember, Georgia beat that team during the sign-stealing height, if you will, in the Orange Bowl. And Dan Lanning was like, I don't recall that being an issue for us because their Jimmies were better than their Joes. I think what we're really getting after here is not the conversation about what needs to happen to Michigan, because we're going to have that conversation when it happens. The thing that I think we need to press upon here is your Jimmies weren't as good as their Joes. That's it. And that's a really difficult thing for us to swallow as red-blooded Americans who prize toughness and respect above anything else. We love to compete, okay? We think that, oh, if you were cheating, cool, we get to disregard that. Cool. I get it. You want that. But you still want to win. Like, Texas Christian might have seen that the signs were being stolen, but they changed their signs in the middle of the prep and beat them. And you know what? Here's the thing. If you ain't got no pick sixes in that game, you don't win anyway. You know, like you have to still show up and play. Even Deion Sanders would say this. He said, look, knowing signs in football really ain't that big a deal. It might matter in baseball, but knowing it in football, you still got to go make a play. No sign is going to help you withstand a shoulder pad to your chest over and over again. No sign is going to stop you getting pushed 2 yards off the ball every time they want to run the damn ball, even though you running the ball and we know it. That nothing is going to change that. I'm talking about this with some verb because I want the folks that watch this show to understand. I hear you on the cheating part. I do. I really do. But if you got cement in your gloves and I still beat you, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Did I win? Because if you'd have beaten Michigan with the sign stealing, there'd have been jokes about, see, even when you know the signs, you still can't beat us because our Jimmies are better than your Joes. That wasn't the case. That was not the case in 2023. That wasn't the case for Ohio State. That wasn't the case for, my goodness, wasn't the case for Washington for sure. Wasn't the case for Alabama. Now, Nick Saban built his entire philosophy around having better players than you. He didn't have better players than Michigan in the Rose Bowl, and they lost. I don't see Nick Saban whining and complaining about no sign stealing. If anything, it's the play call that he might have had to try to force overtime. That's the thing. That's what it's about. And Jim Harbaugh is the kind of dude who has presented himself this way, at least. He just wants to outwork you and beat you fair. That dude. Do you realize y'all got me defending Jim Harbaugh on this here show? Jim Harbaugh don't need my defense. He don't need my defense. Sherrone Moore don't need my defense. None of these folks need my defense. I think I'm just trying to make the point to you that if you think your team is soft, start with that. Okay? Then if you think that they were held to an unfair disadvantage, we can talk about that. We can. I know this. Michigan won every game they played. Everyone in 2023. If you want to assign that to sign stealing, be my guest. Be loud about it. Be nasty about it. Because that's what people are doing. They're being nasty about it. But my sense of integrity and my sense of honor doesn't come from whining about somebody cheating. My sense of integrity and honor comes from, cool, I'll beat you anyway. Because you understand decorum. You understand above board. You understand work. And I think people are smart enough to know the difference between sign stealing and, say, having 12 men on the field. There just really isn't that much to go with here apart from that. And I think we just really want to be mad about this. And I don't really want to be mad about this. I really want to play football. And that begins August 24th.